Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I'm bringing you another fantastic video, including coverage of my first Bitcoin buy of the year. And in fact, the last time I bought Bitcoin was all the way back in August. So I've been basically waiting until such a great opportunity to come by and buy some more Bitcoin. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that and what's happened this week for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin price, as well as crypto in general. And before we get to that, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit that like button and be sure to follow me on X and Threads. So Bitcoin has actually had a fairly good day today. We're up over 4% in the 24 hours. We're still stuck on neutral fear and greed index, which is kind of surprising given the nice little price action we've had today. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin chart TA, I'm going to go ahead and outline here where I made my buy. So I made my buy earlier in the week here at about Tuesday on the 23rd. And if you guys notice, I've put in this little buying area here, this box, and I was planning on making a Bitcoin buy here as soon as it came down into this box. Now, I wanted to get this video out a little bit earlier, but I had some other things pop up, and I couldn't get it out as early as I wanted to. Otherwise, I would have made the video as soon as I made the buys on Tuesday. But I still want to go ahead and talk about this. Now, my plan was to come in and buy just a little bit of Bitcoin as it actually came down, as I thought you'd probably wind up having a Bitcoin price that would break that 40K region and then head a little bit lower very briefly, and then it would wind up spiking back up again as buyers came in and bought the dip. And that's kind of what we've already seen so far. Now, it just so happened that I managed to time the buy pretty well, I'd say. Actually, if you guys are curious about when I make my buys, all you have to do is come over here to my X page. I always post this when I actually make the buys itself and what the price is that I got it. So I got it 38,640. So that's about like here or so. Now, the reason why I made that buy at that point was because we were at the point of extreme capitulation. Bitcoin was flashing oversold on the RSI. It came all the way down here to about 25 or so. And in the Bitcoin bullish percent index, which is one of my favorite indicators, it was actually at about 0 or so. So you have these contrarian indicators that say, okay, this is a good time because the sentiment is overly negative and sellers are probably going to wind up getting exhausted. Now, my plan for this Bitcoin buy is to just hold it for now. I was basically going to be seeing whether or not we're going to be coming back down below 40K. And I think that that's still a possibility. But Bitcoin's move over the last 24 hours kind of changes my perspective on the idea that Bitcoin's going to go down to 40K. Now, Bitcoin pushed up through about 40,500 resistance and over here to 41,700 resistance. And so we're starting to actually see quite a bit of momentum build up in the Bitcoin price. On Friday, this morning, we actually had a significant amount of buyers step in here and push the price much higher. And I do think that if Bitcoin can actually push above this 42K region right here and confirm the breakout, then I do think that we are likely to end up seeing 43, 44K before we see 40 again or under 40. So I'm watching this resistance level very closely to see what's happening with Bitcoin and seeing which direction I think it's going to wind up going in the near term. But Bitcoin over the long term, of course, has been just a fantastic performing asset. Now, as a reminder, the last time I actually bought was way back over here in August or so. It's kind of in this little area. I made multiple buys here around August, around 28, 26, 25 or so back in August, and we saw a very nice appreciation since then. And I've just been waiting for another opportunity of capitulation. That's usually where I really like to go in and buy my Bitcoin. So if we go ahead and take a look at today's price action, if we go look at the futures contracts, we can figure out what happened here. So what we've seen so far earlier today is a significant number of short liquidations happening here. About 7 million or so this hour, 9 million or so this hour. and then you have 5 million here, 8 million here, 4 million here. So we had many of these short liquidations happen, and that kind of helped boost the price and push the price even higher, even to above 42K before it gave that up. Now, if you take a look at the heat map, what that looks like is that you can see it went right through this large chunk of short liquidity here at about 42K, and that kind of pushed the price above 42K for a little bit. And then before that, it actually we had $275 million worth of liquidity at the 41,600 level. So again, cascading short liquidations push the price much higher. We saw a very nice short squeeze today, and that's how we got such a massive price increase over a 24-hour period. Now, what we're looking at right now is if Bitcoin can actually push above 42,300, there's another nice little liquidity level here at $248 million worth of short liquidity, and Bitcoin could actually hit that number and go even higher, I think potentially to 43K if we can get a close above that 42K region. Now, on the other side, what you're seeing here is going to be about 39,300. You have $279 million worth of long liquidations on the other side. So if we do break below 40K and come down to 39K again, then we can also see some significant money moving in the opposite direction, and we can come back all the way to 38, I think, or 37. But I do think it's more likely to not, as long as we hold that 42K region and push above it, then we can see 43, 44, and I think that would be the most likely outcome. Now, I also want to go ahead and talk about what kind of triggered this latest move up. So there's been a lot of speculation today on what happened, but I did read a very interesting article on the Tokenist that said that Bitcoin basically pumped after the bank JPM or JP Morgan stated that the GBTC sell-off is behind us. So in the past couple of days, we've seen significant outflows from GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, out of that fund, out of that ETF, and that has negatively impacted the Bitcoin price. Now, some people are saying it's profit-taking. Some people are saying that they're just shifting their money from GBTC into IBIT or another ETF. But either way, it impacts the Bitcoin price. And now we're starting to see, hopefully, a stabilization of some of these flows from Grayscale. Because, as I said before on this channel, when we talked about GBTC, their fees are the highest among all the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Now, we also have news regarding a planned sale from the U.S. government, $118 million Bitcoin sale. That's going to be 2,900 Bitcoin. Okay, so that's going to be coming up. I was trying to look at the filing itself, but the filing for some reason won't load up. But this news came out a couple of days ago, and if I get more information on when they expect this is actually going to happen, then I will let you guys know. But the U.S. government is trying to sell this 2,900 Bitcoin that it seized from the Silk Road incident, and in which the U.S. government took custody of a bunch of Bitcoin used for payments on the old black market site Silk Road. So they're going to be selling almost 3,000 of these Bitcoin. And as soon as I figure out when it's going to be, I will definitely let you guys know. But this is something that we have to be aware of. Now, Cointelegraph had this story. Definitely recommend you guys check that out if you get a chance. Now, speaking of which, I also want to go ahead and talk about the exchange reserve. So the exchange reserve, or the number of Bitcoin in exchanges, has been climbing over the last month. All right, so we had earlier in January and late December, we actually had it about 2,064,000 Bitcoin, and it's jumped up all the way to well over 2.1 million Bitcoin on the exchanges. So what we've seen in the past month is a significant amount of profit taking from Bitcoin hodlers and traders who have been taking advantage of the recent price up, and they're pushing, they're moving their coins into the exchanges to be sold. That's partly one of the reasons why we've seen a Bitcoin price that hasn't really appreciated much outside of today. And if we go ahead and take a look at our Bitcoin miners reserve, we can see, and the miners reserve shows us the number of Bitcoin in each miner's wallets. We've seen that has also decidedly it has moved downwards over the last month period, meaning that miners are selling more of their Bitcoin than they have in the past. And again, we've seen it go from 1.8 million or so, or 1.8 1,836,000 here to about 1,830,000. So almost 6,000 or so Bitcoin has left miners' wallets over the last month and headed towards exchanges. So we've seen selling pressure from miners. We've seen selling pressure from profit takers and short-term Bitcoin traders, and that is partially the reason why we've seen this depressed price action over the last month. Now, this is normal behavior for Bitcoin. Totally normal behavior. You would expect that as Bitcoin climbs higher and higher and higher, you're going to see profit takers come in. You're going to see sellers step in to defend these crucial levels of resistance, like we talked about here at 42K. This is normal, and in fact, I do like the fact that Bitcoin. If Bitcoin moves sideways, that means you're consolidating for the next move higher. As long as we don't start making lower lows, all right, then that would be more problematic, at least in the short term. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the Q4 GDP numbers for the U.S. economy. So this grew at 3.3%. Now, this is enormous, okay? Now, it's not as good as last quarter, in which you had over 4%, but it is still significantly higher than most experts were expecting. They were looking at 2%. So what this means in the short term is that there's not, so far in the data, a recession on the horizon. Now, that's primarily one of the biggest issues with, like, if you look at the Bitcoin Monthly that ARK Invest does, they always talk about the biggest headwinds for Bitcoin are going to wind up being a recession, okay, and the inverted yield curve and things like that pointing towards a recession. But if we keep seeing these signs that the U.S. economy is actually fairly healthy, then we will most likely avoid a recession. And if we avoid a recession, that is good news for Bitcoin, because people will have more money to actually go in and invest in Bitcoin and store it, okay? So this is a positive sign. I think this is bullish for Bitcoin. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.